Hello and welcome to the Startline podcast with me, Beth Espy. This is where we get behind the scenes with road racers, from signing up for events and prepping their bikes to finding the funds and making the dream a reality. We're going to follow riders all with one goal in sight: to line up at the Manx Grand Prix in 2026. So in this episode, we're going to meet Dan Nurrish, who shares his journey back into motorcycle racing after he took quite a long break away from it. So he talks about his early memories of bikes, the support he gets from his family, and the challenges that he really did have to face when he decided to step away from racing for a time. Dan reflects on the joy of returning to the sport during lockdown, his aspirations for the Manx Grand Prix, and, first of all, his very, very important sidekick. We'll find out much more about her. But here's Dan.
Been racing again 5 years now, after having 20 years off from racing in the 90s. Yeah, back to doing what I love.
Wow. Well, we'll talk much more about that in a moment. But first of all, I need to get the important things done first. I need you to tell us all about Bailey.
All right. Yeah, she's my little shadow. Other than bikes, one of the best things that's ever happened to me, to be honest. And my personal little manager, to be honest. She's definitely in charge.
And what kind of dog is she?
She's a boxer. She'll be 8 January, so nearly 8 years of being told what to do.
And is she able to go with you to most race meetings, Dan?
No, because obviously animals aren't allowed at the MSVR tracks and stuff. She would be allowed at the likes of Darley Moor and Tom Fenai, but to be honest, I'm calmer if I'm not having to panic where she is. So, I'll leave her at home, and then I can concentrate on what I've got to do, and then she goes mental when I get home on a Sunday night normally.
Just tell us that, where is home?
In Birmingham, virtually in Birmingham. So it's where I've been nearly all my life. 50 years.
I did detect a slight twang to the accent there. So, yeah, I wondered if it was in that neck of the woods. So just take us back then to your first memory, I suppose, associated with bikes and bike racing. When would that be?
Oh, that'd be my uncle used to race classics. So I used to make sure I was always going along to watch and, hang around the paddock. That's what I love. I'd be the age of about 8, probably 9. I'd be pushing an old Norton up and down the paddock at Darley Moor and stuff. It's just a happy place, and yeah, it's just, I've never not wanted to be around bikes ever since, to be honest.
Yeah. And it must be an amazing place for a child if you've got a remote interest in it, because I guess there's always something for you to do. You're obviously helping your uncle out and whatever. But even at that age, did you think that you wanted to sort of follow in his tyre tracks, as it were?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's just anything with 2 wheels, even down to my granddad's had a rally runabout, and I'd ride that round the garden, just sort of etched into me. And I'm not interested in anything with 2 wheels, anything that's got more than 2 wheels. I'm not really too fussed about push bikes, but motorbikes, that's where my head sort of goes. You know what I mean? Other than the dog.
And I suppose if you had family that was sort of doing it as well, were your family quite supportive of your interests then?
My parents have never really been into bikes, but I just sort of dragged myself along to when my uncle was racing. Then his son, my cousin, started racing. And then I sort of, when I first got my YTS job, I scrimped a bit of money together, and I think I started racing in 95, 20 years old, on an RS125. My aunt had borrowed me some money to buy, and I paid her back at me, £24 a week.
But great though, Dan, is it, to have that support in the family and people really wanting you to pursue what was clearly a big passion of yours?
Yeah, and that's it. It's just, it has been. And I raced for 5 years. Then I stopped in 2000 because I was made redundant. And then with my redundancy, I did my bike licence. I've still never got away from bikes. The majority of my family have always been fairly, supportive. But yeah, it's just, I think at the end of the day, they know that's what I'm into, so it's going to sort of happen anyway. My parents are quite supportive. They look after Bailey when I disappear on a Thursday afternoon till I come back and stuff like that. So, but I don't think they'd know the front or the rear of a motorcycle.
I'm going to make a presumption here that perhaps school wasn't necessarily your favourite thing in the world.
I went. I think I was sort of kid that would just sit there at a desk drawing pictures of motorbikes all day long. But yeah, it was just, you go in Monday and then open Friday comes round quick enough. Something kids had to do, wasn't it? There was never any, sort of goal at school thinking, oh, I need to get this result because I won this. Because no, it was just somewhere you went for 5 days in the week.
And then obviously you got your bike license. Obviously you need to be able to pay for that. So did you have an idea of what you wanted to do job-wise when you left school?
When I did my work experience sort of thing, I worked at a local garage, local paint shop. And then when I left school, I worked there for, I better work there for 8 years. So I've been spraying cars and motorbikes since I was 16. So yeah, and still doing it now. But I've worked for myself for the last 15 years. So it gives me money in the bank and pays for your bit of fun, pays to put the smile on your face.
And I guess, though, it's also quite good to be doing a job that is associated with something that you love so much.
Oh yeah, it's nice when you're chatting to people and, you can sort of give, if they're looking at having stuff painted, you can sort of give them an idea and say, well, I'd do this and I'd do that. And then their ears prick up and they can see I'm a bit more invested than just someone that's just going to throw paint at you. At the end of the day, I want it to look right for the customers as well. Yeah, it's good, but the problem is with the racing bikes, they get scratched more than you'd like, but it's part of the job as well. But yeah, it keeps the money coming in and fun's all I want to do. Working for myself's good because obviously I can lock the workshop up and clear off for a few days. So I don't have to stress about having to book holidays and stuff. I'll just make sure I book my calendar around the race season. So
yeah, perfectly planned. And Dan, then you mentioned obviously getting your license when you were about sort of 20 or so. What would you say was the standout moment of that time when it came to what you were doing race-wise?
Well, I had to stop racing when I was redundant, so I'd raced for Darley and Emra for 5 years then. So I stopped racing. Yeah, I think passed my bike test in 2000. I did my bike test in a day and a half in Bristol. So I drove down to Bristol on Sunday night, come back with my licence Tuesday morning, and then straight into a local bike shop and brought a GSX-R 600. It was just about getting back out on two wheels. And my first decent trip was in 2002. It was over to the Manx. So, I was telling him again, it was still pulled back to racing and, going to watch someone else enjoying themselves.
And do you think back in 2002, you would have had any inkling at all that one day you'd be putting in an entry for the MGP?
I had thoughts in then, but it was just work and stuff like that. And obviously I'd got a new job at the time. And so it was just turn me back on racing. I thought, I'm not going to be able to do it. A few people asked at the time, and I was like, well, yeah, you're looking at it, and the more you look at it, you think, bloody hell, it's amazing to see the event. But no, to be honest, I thought at the time, my racing days are over. I'll never be able to go back to that again. Now here I am. I've been racing again for 5 years and back in my happy place. All the good people you bumped into in the paddock and stuff. It's just great atmosphere everywhere. And when I started again, straight away I was already trying to watch the odd onboard and stuff like that, thinking always for training. You never know, it might be a chance. And yeah, here we are. I've put the entry in, so fingers crossed.
I'm just wondering, when you make that decision, as you had to do for various reasons, to sort of give up the racing dream for a while, what impact does that have on you when you're not able to do what you clearly love so much?
Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard. I mean, I'd put me off going to want to watch club races because you feel like you're on the wrong side of the fence. I know people that will never have rode, will stand there all day long enjoying watching, and enjoying the race. But I think once you've actually stepped over the fence, it's hard to replicate. It doesn't matter whether you're first or last. It's hard to replicate the enjoyment you get out of it.
That must be so difficult because obviously you make the decision for all sorts of reasons and it must have felt, right for you at that point. But there's also, presumably, when you love something so much, that little voice in the back of your head thinking, yeah, I really, really want to be doing this.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll go to a meeting to watch and you just don't, you're coming away early because you're not enjoying it. Because, you see everyone else enjoying it and you're not where you want to be, if that makes sense. Too big a kick in the teeth to be on the wrong side of the fence.
So then, would you be able to almost take us back to that point a few years ago when you thought, no, I'm going to be doing this again? Can you remember that sort of time and the sort of process that you went through?
I've got an R6 on the road and I've been out a couple of times and just not enjoying riding around the road. Rubbish roads, potholes everywhere and stuff, and can't enjoy it. So during lockdown, I'd made the decision in my head and I've been and done my ICU course at Darley, I think, at the time. Maybe just after. I just sort of says, you know what, I'm going to go and have another go and go back to what I enjoy. spent the whole time when all the tracks were shut, organising all the bits to convert the road bike into a race bike. Never looked back, and just back to big grin on your face and looking at the calendars all the time and when's the next time I can go. I don't really compute with like Christmas and birthdays and stuff. It's race calendar. Yeah, what's going on?
And then at what point did you think that you were ready to put an entry in for the Manx? As we know, as things stand, as we're talking at the moment, that expression is in, and we won't know for several weeks, I guess, whether or not that's been accepted. But you must have felt ready yourself and thought, yeah, that could potentially be the next step for me.
I mean, I've been racing the 600 since I came back, different events. And the last few years I've been racing at NG Club, and I've managed to get my national licence earlier last year. And to be honest, the whole goal about getting me national was trying to get on the roads and ideal and Manx. But I was a bit unsure of, obviously, because of my age. But because when I started again, I was 45, and obviously the cut-off on the regs was 45 for a newcomer. But I still wanted to go on, I'm still something that's there, and I don't think it will ever go, sort of thing. That's the ultimate challenge, the ultimate experience, really. You speak to anyone. And as soon as I'd managed to click off my national last year, I did Aberdare Park, and I thought, you know what, when it comes around, if the entries come up, I've got to put it in, because I don't want to regret not trying. There's no harm in trying. I'm keeping fit. I'm doing everything I've got to do myself, trying to do as many onboards as I can, and I've even gone back to playing computer games. It'd just be a massive achievement. Well, it's a massive achievement to anyone to step on the start line there. So it's like my ultimate goal.
And team-wise, have you got an idea of who you might bring with you?
Well, to be honest, up until now, I've always done everything pretty much on my own. I'll turn up at a meeting, set my stuff up. Obviously, I've made some great friends in the paddock that always help out in the what's it. But to be honest, since I've mentioned it to a few people, a fair few of my friends have expressed an interest in giving me a bit of help. Like, I've probably been trying to pull in a few favours. But yeah, I'm putting the word about ready, obviously, if I get the nod to further progress the sort of application. But yeah, it's definitely a few favours that are hollow.
I tell you what, it's such a shame we can't see Bailey there in a pair of overalls. I'm sure she'll be absolutely brilliant. But the other thing that you do need for this, and obviously you are self-employed and whatever, and can sort of work around the general race schedule, but is sponsorship something that you've been out looking for? Is that an easy conversation that you find to have?
I'm not the sort of person that likes going to ask for stuff. To be honest, nearly all the racing I've done over the last 5 years, I've sort of funded nearly everything myself. I have got a good friend, as in Robert Dunsley at Dunsley Heat. The last couple of years, he's given me some money towards tyres and stuff, which has helped massively, because I can put my money back to something else. I mean, Rock Oil have given me oil this year. So when you're changing the oil in the bike every single time you're using them, that's another massive saving off my own bank balance. But yeah, I have got, I did get a little supporters board made up this year, and a few friends have put their names to it, so that's helped a bit. I'm going to try and push that a bit more next year, because I've got my number 41 on it, and I've just asked people if they want to put £41 towards me racing. Yeah, their name was on the boards. Yeah, I'm trying to do all that, but I'm not the sort of person that will go asking for stuff. To be honest, there's a lot of younger kids out there that deserve the stuff probably more than me, that are up and coming. So I just think, well, yeah, it's my hobby, and I'll try and do what I can on my own. When people do want to support you and offer themselves, it's fantastic.
What's the significance with 41?
I was always a big Noriaga fan, so 41 is on the bike, and hopefully keep 41 on the bike till I retire again.
It's great, isn't it? So many people have got those little associations, and it just means so much to you. But I think, Dan, what's really interesting, just thinking about the sponsorship side, and obviously you support yourself to a large extent, but it's great to have that little bit of support that you talked about. You know, when people are sitting on the hedges watching you go by, and they don't necessarily understand what goes into getting you to any sort of start line, I don't think you can imagine really just how all-consuming it must be. And it's clearly something you love, but there must be some pretty stressful times sometimes where you're just thinking, where am I going to get the money from to pay for this, that, or the other?
Yeah, I mean, it's stress. I mean, the season's been over about a month, and the suspension has been out of the bike. Will Birchall's got that now to service and stuff for me. I've used Will for the last 3 or 4 years, and I'll drive 2 hours because I trust him, and he does the job right for me. So that's been serviced. I'm building another classic pre-injection bike. I am hoping that's finished for February. And the R6 that I've used for the last year or so, to be honest, could do with an engine refresh. And the last one of those I had was best part of £4,000. So even though season stops, the bills don't. So now I'm just, head down at work and trying to cover some of the bills.
It's interesting you mentioned Will Birchall there, because I remember speaking to him the first time he came over to the Isle of Man, and I don't think I've seen anybody who's had such joy in their face when they've come over to race. So it's great to have somebody like that who's had the experience and literally has been in your shoes.
But yeah, Will's fantastic, and as soon as I says put an application in, he seen his face, he's been good with advice and stuff. The few people I tell that I've put my entry in, there's more and more people like going, what if you need help, let us know on this. And, I was at a party the weekend and I mentioned to someone, and fair play, there's the next Manx GP winner on the table and offering advice and stuff. So there's a lot of good people in my little circle ready to give me all the advice I can take in like a sponge.
Well, that's brilliant to hear, Dan. And just thinking about you and putting yourself out there on social media, it's another thing that people have to think about nowadays when you're racing. Where can people find you?
I've got a page on Facebook and I've got a page on Instagram. On Facebook, it's DCN Racing, which are my initials. And then on Instagram, my race page is DCN_racing. Yeah, the people can find me at Dan Nurrish on Facebook if they're obviously interested in getting in touch. Any help is gratefully received. You know what I mean? It's just great people want help, but at the end of the day, you do realise that my hobby, and you don't expect other people to fund it.
I just want to ask you, DCN, what does the C stand for?
Craig. Daniel Craig.
I see. Right, there's a little bit of a Bond theme going on here, potentially.
I wish, yeah.
How many times have people said that to you? It's been great talking to you, Dan, and hopefully we'll keep in touch and see how things pan out over the next few weeks. But I just, can't get the image, potentially, of Bailey in a little sidecar next to you out of my head. I mean, would she be okay with that, do you reckon?
She gets scared enough in a car, I think. Any extreme airflow over her head, she'd be off, no matter how much she wants to be next to me.
That's a shame. But anyway, give her all our love, and we will keep in touch with you, Dan, and every single thing crossed for you for the next few weeks and getting some good news, hopefully.
Thank you so much, Beth. Thank you.
Daniel Craig Pearson. I'm wondering if I can slip the Bond theme in somewhere. Probably not. But great to talk to Dan and to find out all about Bailey as well. Do check out the photographs of her on social media. I'll put the links to Dan's racing page on the podcast as well, so do give him a follow. Now, during that conversation, Dan mentioned Will Birchall, a recent Manx Grand Prix newcomer himself, and Dan talked about the fact that Will's just brilliant when it comes to answering questions and being really supportive to other people who want to do the MGP. So I thought I'd ask Will, what was the one thing he wished he'd known before he sat on that start line for the first time?
Hiya, Beth. I think I'd have most liked to have known how mentally taxing it is, and just how important staying as relaxed as possible, not only when riding but also in the camp. If everyone is relaxed, the job is so much easier, and that's proven to us at our second attempt this year. A relaxed camp just makes it so easy and enjoyable, but the place does get in your head that first time. I wish I'd have known the effect it would have had.
Will Birchall, and again, one of the people that we really can't wait to see back here on the Isle of Man, because his joy at doing the MGP is just infectious. Thank you very much indeed for listening to this episode of Startline. Do take some time to find the riders on social media. Your support is very much appreciated. And if you'd like to get in touch with me and be part of the podcast in the future, you can email beth@startline.im. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.